Hi guys, so it's been nearly 9 years since the Logitech G29 racing wheel was released, and in that time it's become the most popular sim racing wheel and for many their first wheel. But with so many newer wheels coming into the market, including a number of budget direct drive wheelbases with competitive prices, is the Logitech G29 still worth it as your first sim racing wheel? So I'll take you through the design, its positives and negatives, and I'll compare it with some other alternatives close to that price range, giving you my final thoughts if it's still worth getting. But before I begin, if you're new to the channel, hope you can support me by subscribing and hitting the bell icon to get notified of my next release. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below. The Logitech G29 racing wheel comes with pedals and is compatible with the PS3, PS4, PS5 and a PC, but not an Xbox. But there is an Xbox and PC version, which is the Logitech G920. There's an optional shifter which can be bought separately, but there are some deals out there where you can buy the shifter with the wheel and pedals as a bundle. The price for the G29 varies anywhere between £250 to just under £330, and currently on the Logitech G website the price has dropped to just under £270 and on the US site at just under $300. And to note, the shifter isn't included. When I bought mine back in 2017, they were selling the wheel at a discounted price of £150, which also included the shifter, and I found the price used to drop to that point around Black Friday and Christmas, but since the pandemic I found the price hardly drops to anywhere near this. Taking a closer look at the wheel design, it has a hand-stitched leather cover around the wheel, an LED indicator positioned just above the center of the wheel indicating exactly when to go up or down shift. It has a blue center strip on the wheel giving a quick visual indication where the wheel is in your peripheral vision. On the wheel you have 14 buttons which consist of a D-pad, PlayStation start and control buttons which are set up just like on a PS4 controller. There's a 24-point selection dial and the plus and minus buttons to further adjust and tune your driving preferences. The wheel does look and feel good and isn't too heavy, and even after all these years the leather hasn't worn around, but it is shiny from use, so to keep it in good condition it's best to use some racing gloves. It has a plastic casing all the way round with plastic clamps to help with mounting on a table or on a sim cockpit. Plus it has some holes at the bottom allowing you to secure the wheel on a sim cockpit. The paddle shifters at the back of the wheel are stainless steel and have a clicky sound which feels and looks really good. And the wheel shaft has solid steel ball bearings. The wheel features a 900 degrees lock-to-lock rotation, which means you can turn the wheel 2.5 times. It has a dual motor force feedback, which is driven by gears and plastic cogs, providing 2.1 Newton meters of torque, which isn't bad for an entry-level wheel. The pedals are well designed, made from stainless steel and consisting of an accelerator, clutch and brake, which are mounted on a plastic baseboard, with it having carpet grippers on the back to help grip and rubber pads to stop it slipping on a wooden floor. But to be honest, you'll need something to stop it from moving, especially on the wooden floor or tiled floor, as you'll experience some movement when pressing down hard on the brake. But it does have holes on the back if you're planning on mounting it on a sim cockpit. The throttle, clutch and non-linear brake pedal feels good, with each pedal having a potentiometer where they all work on the distance the pedal has travelled. But for the brake, this isn't realistic, as a real brake works off the amount of force applied, which is what a load cell does. Taking a look inside the brake, it has an extra piece of rubber and a spring which is a lot stiffer, so the first 50% feels pretty easy, but once you get past this it does get a lot stiffer and you do need to use a lot more force. Coming over to the shifter, and it's compatible with both a G920 and the G923, but you can't use it with a Logitech G Pro wheel unless you buy the Logitech racing adapter, which will allow you to connect it to the wheel. It has a H-pattern gear shift and has a solid steel gear shaft. The knob and boot is covered with hand-stitched leather, and it has clamps allowing you to mount it on a table, plus holes at the bottom to mount it onto a sim frame. You don't have to buy it, as you do have the paddle shifters on the wheel, but it really comes down to what experience you want when racing. Mounting the wheel is pretty simple, as it has desk clamps to mount on a table, and you can also remove these bits from the clamp to help mount it on a thicker table, so it can fit a table which is up to 5 centimeters thick. And as the wheelbase, pedals and shifter have mounting holes underneath, you can easily mount it on a sim cockpit. It's fine to use on a desk, but really for the best experience, it's worth getting a sim cockpit, as it allows you to bolt all the accessories, avoiding any situations where it could potentially come off, and in addition, it provides more stability to race, together with providing more adjustability to get a better racing position. Gaming wise, there's a number of games which support force feedback on the G29, and I'll include a link in the description if you're wondering which ones are supported. It's compatible with the PS3, PS4 and PS5, together with being able to use it on a PC. But on a PC, you have to remember to install the Logitech G Hub software. This allows you to adjust some of the settings. For example, you can change the turning circle to reduce it from 900 degrees to a lower value, or even combine pedals and assign keys. Now with the G29, you wouldn't be able to play some of the exclusive titles which aren't available on the PlayStation, like Forza for example, but the advantage here is that you can purchase Forza on a PC, allowing you to play on there, so you can get the best of both worlds with this wheel. And it's worth noting there are some adapters available, like this one from Resolution, that can provide Xbox support, but the experience does vary between games, with it not being so great on some. The racing experience on both a console and PC are equally good, and although the gears are slightly loud, you can feel the force feedback from the track, bumps and curves, giving a good immersive racing experience. The paddle shifters have a great feel when gaming, and depending upon the game you're playing, it can be used in conjunction with the clutch. Alternatively, as I've already mentioned, you can use the shifter as well, which does work well, but it's nothing amazing as it has more of a cheap plastic feel to it, and using the shifter with the clutch, you don't get any biting point sensation as you would in a real car. So in that respect, it does lack realism. The pedals generally have a good feel, being nice and responsive, which adds to the realism of the whole racing experience. There's also a number of third-party mods that can be done on the G29, like changing the wheel, upgrading the paddle shifting experience, to even upgrading the brake pedal. You're even able to add a telemetry display. I've made a couple of videos on this, and I'll leave links to them in the description below if you wanted to check them out. In terms of alternatives, Logitech did release the G923, which is their successor to the G29, which gives slightly more torque and provides true force. The design and performance of the G923 isn't too dissimilar to the G29 with the addition of true force, but worth noting true force is only supported on a small selection of games. Price wise, it's slightly more expensive, but with the pedals and shifter, you aren't getting any new upgrades. It's just an upgrade to the wheel, which personally I don't think it's worth the upgrade if you're coming from the G29. Then there's the PXN V10, which is compatible with a PC, Xbox, PS4, but not a PS5. It's sold as a bundle with pedals and a H-pattern shifter at just under £270 or $280. The wheelbase provides 3 Nm of torque and has a quick release system, but they don't have any new rims. The wheel rim is slightly smaller than the G29 and performance is very similar. The biggest difference is the pedals, where the Logitech pedals feel much more superior, with the braking giving more resistance. But given a choice between this and the G29, I'd go for the G29, as you get PS5 support and a better build quality. Then there's Thrustmaster's belt-driven wheelbases, which actually provide quite a good alternative to Logitech's wheelbases, providing quite a good experience. Moving on to direct drive wheelbases, and over the last couple of years, the competition around the £500 or $500 mark and under has increased quite considerably with the introduction of the Phonetic CSL-DD, Moza R5 and the Camus C5, all providing around 5 Nm of torque with a far superior driving experience over the G29, with the difference being literally night and day. But at this price point, all the wheelbases are only compatible with a PC, with Phonetic and Moza providing a larger ecosystem with a build quality more superior than Camus. The Camus and Moza wheelbases don't have console support, but you can buy an adapter like the Resolution 2 which will provide console support, but the experience is varied from game to game, with it not being as good on certain games. With the Phonetic CSL-DD, you do have Xbox support, but you'd have to buy a wheel that has Xbox support. But if you wanted a Phonetic wheelbase that supports PC, Xbox and PlayStation, you can get the Phonetic GT DD Pro, but that comes in at a higher price point. Then there's Logitech's Pro Racing Wheel, which is Logitech's direct drive offering, coming in at just under £1,350 or $1,350 providing a massive upgrade to the G29 with a wheelbase providing 11 Newton meters of torque and upgraded pedals with a load cell brake, providing an awesome racing experience. But unfortunately, there's no other accessories like different wheels, shifters or handbrakes, and this is where Moza and Phonetic excel with their wider ecosystem and a number of different wheelbases offering more power. So in summary, is the Logitech G29 worth it? I'd say not anymore, as you'd be better off saving a bit more money and get a direct drive wheelbase to get the best sim racing experience. But if you were an occasional racer with a limited budget who just wanted to try out sim racing, the Logitech G29 is definitely still a good entry-level budget wheel that works on both console and PC, providing reasonable torque levels, with it being a great option for kids and works straight out of the box with no additional need for tweaking, which is what I love about this wheel, as it just works. Negatives wise, force feedback isn't that great in comparison to Thrustmaster's belt-driven wheels and the direct drive wheelbases, as it uses cogs and gears and it can be a little bit noisy and notchy when racing. And as the cogs and gears are plastic, it doesn't give a realistic, immersive experience compared to its competitors, and after prolonged use, it does feel like the cogs and gears wear down slightly. The red dial that they say allows you to set traction, I found that you can never get it to perfectly where you want it. So really, the dial is pretty much for looks on the wheel. It's not precise and you don't get a good feel of how much you are dialing up or down. The brake pedal is potentiometer based, which means it measures the amount you want to brake based on how much the pedals traveled, which isn't accurate to how a real car feels. As in a real car, the load cell pedal braking is measured by the amount of force you lay down on the pedal. This means that the brake pedal will feel unrealistic compared to a real car or a high-end wheel and pedals. So there you have it. You've come to the end of another video, and I hope it's helped anyone thinking of purchasing this. Details are in the description below, including purchasing links. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And also let me know if you still think the G29 is worth it. For those of you who got to the end of this video, please leave a comment with G29, as it's awesome to see who's got to the end of my video, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. You can follow me on my socials. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to be notified on my next release. Thanks for viewing, and see you in the next one.